What is going on, YouTube? This is Preston and Corey from WeNerdOut, and welcome back to a brand new video. So, in today's video, we're going to be bringing you guys our thoughts and opinions on the brand new Pokemon game, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So, there's a few things I want to bring up before we get into the video, and that is that we played up until and this is going to be riddled with spoilers, by the way. We played up until we defeated Professor Sada and Professor Turo. We played till after we defeated them, and then after you go and, well, for me anyway, after you go and you fight Nimona in your full on 6-on-6 battles.
Yeah.
And I need to point out a few things also, is because I'm going to have a lot of people would think of as controversial takes on a decent amount of stuff. So there may be some things said in this video that a lot of people who watch it may not like, or may not like what I have to say and may not want to hear. So I think that that's just something that I need to point out before we get certain things said and whatnot. So is there anything you want to say, Corey, before we get too far into the video?
Let's start with what we actually will rate the game.
We would rank it?
Yeah, I think it would be like a 7 out of 10 right now.
Okay. So,
but that's only because of the way the game started off.
Now, before I even finished the whole game, I was hearing a lot of people that, because of the glitches and everything,
yeah,
that the game was still riddled with, that a lot of people were giving it a 6 out of 10. Now, for me personally, even knowing all the stuff that I know about it, I think I would personally give it a very solid 8 out of 10. Is what I would want to give it.
That's fair.
But, I mean, that's just how I would rank it. So, now, one of the things I want to talk about, so I would have a list, but I didn't think about doing all that stuff. So the very first thing I want to talk about is the characters. The characters for the game. Now, for me personally, starting with like red, blue, green, yellow, all those going down to Scarlet and Violet, there has not been a actual rival character that I cared too much about up until these games. Because for characters, I personally think that Nimona is the best rival character that I've had the pleasure of battling against throughout the and
way better than Hop, I can tell you that much.
And some other stuff I want to talk about was the character customization, because I am a huge fan of being able to customize my character, and just the options that we had even at the very start of the game was a whole lot better than the options that we got in the older versions of the Pokemon games.
I think when it comes to the character customization, you can't change your actual outfit. You have to stay with the uniform, and that kind of sucks. But the rest of it is completely fine, because I have the kind of gloves and hat and shoes that I want to wear. When it comes to the actual outfit, though, not the greatest.
Yeah. Okay, so now I want to talk about the Pokemon. Okay, so this is why I had that little bit of a thing that I said at the beginning of the video. Okay, so as for the Pokemon, now I've been playing Pokemon games for a very long time, and every generation of Pokemon that I played had a large variety of Pokemon that I loved, that I enjoyed, and because of that, it allowed me to do multiple playthroughs of the game.
Yeah.
And because of that, a game like Pokemon Sword and Shield has been the game that I have played through the most compared to any of the other games. Now, whenever I seen the complete Pokedex for this game, you know, it was not as big as I thought it was going to be, first off. You know, I kind of rank it up there with, like, Pokemon X and Y, even though this game has maybe just a tidbit more than what that game did. Although this generation of Pokemon, these these games had the largest amount of Pokemon that I did not like, that I actually just that I just despised.
There are quite a bit that I don't like.
Mhm. And so, continuing on with that topic, um, the Pokemon starters, for instance, Sprigatito, Fuecoco, and Quaxley. Now, whenever we were first introduced to the starters, I was hooked on Sprigatito almost instantly. It was the one that called out to me the most. And then we got to Fuecoco and Quaxley. Now, compared to these two, I liked Quaxley much more over Fuecoco. Okay? But then, because the Pokemon Company, for some reason, just didn't want to show the starters evolving. And so because of that, we didn't know what their second stage or even what their third stage was going to look like.
Yeah.
Which was still fine for me. Hang on. Had a, had a call that came in. But, so whenever I seen Sprigatito evolve into Floragato and Masquerada, I still loved it. It still didn't sway me one way or another. I was still happy that I chose that starter. So for whenever Fuecoco evolved into Crocolore, and then finally into Skeledirge. Now for this Pokemon in particular, I was still not the biggest fan of its second stage. But then whenever I seen its third stage, that right there, that blew me out of the park. Because I did not think at all that it was going to look like that. And I really liked it. So now I want to talk about Quaxley's evolutionary line. So, and this is another reason why I put that spoiler kind of sort of at the beginning of whenever I started talking at the beginning of the video. So, Quaxley, like I said, I liked its first form compared to Fuecoco.
Mm-hmm.
Its second form, Quaxquavel, or however, Quackawell. It's okay, you know. I didn't like it as much
It's
as
not the best, but it's okay.
yeah. I didn't like it as much as its first form because its second form, for me personally, it kind of gives me these Mandark vibes from from Dexter's laboratory.
Now that you mention it, he does kind of look like a Mandark. That's great.
But then we get into its third stage. I'm gonna try to not use certain words and terminology, but all I can say is that it's my least favorite out of all of this generation's Pokemon starters.
He's honestly my least favorite too.
It's just not my thing. Now there are reasons why that's the case, but I just want to say that it just wasn't my favorite. Like it for a huge portion, a huge reason.
Mm.
But anyway, so that's my thoughts on the starters. What are your opinions on the whole starter thing for
Um.
this game?
Oh boy. I don't like that the fact that Sprigatito's evolution line stood up,
Yeah, a lot of people didn't like that.
but competitively, Masquerada is very good.
Okay.
Um, but I went with Fuecoco. I wasn't gonna get Quaxley at all because I didn't like the way it looked. And then when I seen its evolution, I'm like, you know what? I'll stick with Fuecoco. And then when Fuecoco evolved into Skeledirge, I actually really like Skeledirge, and I hatched a Fuecoco shiny, so I'm gonna level that up and evolve it into Skeledirge, so I can have a shiny one of those. Um, but other than that, it goes Fuecoco, Sprigatito, Quaxley.
Okay. So, in like a fighting kind of sense for the Wacoco line and the Quaxley line, that's something I want to talk about. So, I've been watching videos of some of my favorite PokeTubers who have used the Quaxley line and the Fuecoco line.
Mm.
So for Skeledirge, because I just said a few minutes ago that I thought it was really awesome. So it using its signature move, Torch Song, I really like what it does for the Pokemon. How it like raises, I think it's like either its physical attack or its special attack. So if you're like battling and you spam that move over and over and over again, you can get your Pokemon really strong and really powerful. But watching people use this Pokemon in multiple videos that I have watched, my only nitpick for it is that I just don't like the sound that it makes whenever it's using that attack. Since I've watched videos of people using this Pokemon over and over again, for me personally, it just made it start coming off as really annoying. But
Is that for Skeledirge?
yeah.
Okay.
For Quaquaval and Quaxwell and Quaxley, there is one thing in particular, one thing good that I can say about it, and that is that Quaxley's level up moveset, I really like it, because it gets stuff like Work Up and a whole bunch of really awesome fighting type moves that, for me personally, if I ever did use it, which I can say right now that I'm not going to, but it would be a really good water fighting type. And for me personally, loving the Pokemon that I do, my favorite Pokemon, that seems like something like maybe in a parallel world that I would really enjoy using, because I really like my fighting type Pokemon, my Lucario, my Mienshao, my Hitmontop, my Poliwrath. I really enjoy my fighting types. So that was the one thing that I wanted to say about the starter Pokemon. So going on to other Pokemon I wanted to talk about was the Paradox Pokemon. Okay. So.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Well, this whole thing was spoiler.
Yeah.
Which I'll put in the title.
Okay, so I love the idea of Paradox Pokemon. We have our past Pokemon and our future Pokemon. And I played Pokemon Violet. So I got to run into all the Paradox Pokemon that they look like they're part metal, which I really enjoyed. And playing through the game, whenever I did for the very first time, Iron Treads, the future version of Donphan, that one gave me the most trouble out of all of them. Because since we're able to freely move around in the games and basically go and do what we wanted to do, I had no idea the level that Iron Treads was going to be whenever I very first came across it. And because of that, I didn't know what its level was going to be. It swept my whole entire team, which I was not ready for. So if I had to pick a favorite out of all of the future Paradox Pokemon, mine would have to be, hands down, Iron Valiant.
Yeah.
I love that Pokemon so much. And the one thing that stands out to me out of everything about the future variants is their eyes. Because the reason why I like it so much is because it reminds me so much of the Sonic, the Shadow the Hedgehog video game for the original Xbox. Because in that game, whenever you're doing one-on-one battling with your friends who also play it, the different versions of Shadow that you can choose from, some of them are like these metal robot kind of looking people that you can choose from. And their eyes, they look like and they resemble the future variants of these Pokemon. Like if you were to look at Iron Bundle, Iron Valiant, and even Iron Treads, their eyes remind me so much of those Shadow the Hedgehog characters that you can choose from in that video game. And that was the one thing that I really liked. I really liked it. It drew me to it, and I really liked that. So, what are your opinion on the past variants of these Pokemon?
Let's see. I uh, hmm. It's it's hard to say. I don't like the Magneton's past form.
Sandy Shocks?
Yeah, Sandy Shocks. That's a weird name for it. I love Roaring Moon.
Oh yeah.
Because it looks like the Mega for Salamence.
Yeah, out of all of the past versions of these Paradox Pokemon, if I had to choose, then Roaring Moon would be my favorite also. And yeah, it's because it looks like it's in a perpetual state of Mega Evolution. And me, a huge fan of Mega Evolution, out of all of the mechanics, I really enjoy that.
As for Screaming Tail, it's okay. That's all right. No, Great Tusk, I really enjoy that. What else is there? I can't think of all their names. Fluttermane is good.
What do you think about Brute Bonnet?
Brute Bonnet, I really like. I really enjoy Brute Bonnet. Because I like Amoonguss.
Yeah.
No, Amoonguss isn't my favorite Pokemon, but Brute Bonnet, I really like it.
What about the Volcarona variants, Slitherwing and Iron Moth?
I really enjoy Slitherwing.
Oh, really?
I enjoy Slitherwing over Iron Moth.
Okay. So, the four legendary quote unquote Pokemon
I still haven't caught him yet.
of the game. the quartet. There we go. That's the phrase I was looking for. The quartet of this game, because there was the genie Pokemon from that one game. You know, you have your Tornadus, Landorus, Thundurus, and then your Enamorus. So that was in Legends Arceus. Where we were
Arceus.
introduced to that one. So for this game, there was Tinglu, Shinpo, Woshin, and Chi-Yu. Okay, so my opinion on these. First off, was not the biggest fan of the names until I kind of learned the lore about it in a way. And if I'm remembering correctly, I think they kind of took inspiration from, I think it was like Chinese mythology
I think it was
or,
Chinese.
or something like that. So, if I had to pick a favorite out of these four, I think I would choose Shinpo, the ice kind of saber-toothed tiger Pokemon.
Yeah.
That one for me would be my favorite out of these four. Um, and if I remember correctly, while I was scrolling through Twitter, this one in particular is busted. But for the other ones, you have the one that looks like a moose with a big old bowl on top of its head. You have Wo Shin that looks like a really gigantic snail
Yeah.
that's covered in leaves. And then you have Chi Yu that looks like someone's fan art Pokemon. It's a big old, like, well, kind of sort of big goldfish that looks like its end parts are on fire, and then you have like the yin yang eyes that are on the sides of his head.
I really enjoyed that Pokemon.
Oh, really?
I don't know why, there's just something about it.
Well, for me personally, it came off as a little bit off-putting, but
Have you
what
seen
are
it
your
shiny
opinions?
though?
Oh, well, that I haven't got to see. I haven't got to see it yet, but I may have to look into that here later on.
Its shiny is
But
really good.
really, well, what are your opinion on the quartet for this generation?
I haven't caught them yet, but I have seen them.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoy the Sabertooth
Mm-hmm.
and, well, in a way I enjoy them all. But my
Oh,
favorite
really?
ones are the Sabertooth
Mm-hmm.
and the Goldfish.
Okay. So now, what I want to talk about is the story. It's the story for this game. Okay, so, okay, but before I do that, there's something that I really wanted to talk about, and it's these games as a whole for me. Um, the characters, the story, the Pokemon, everything in general. Okay, so since I have played since the very beginning Pokemon games up until now, not a lot of them have given me a lot of replay value.
Mm.
I mean, cause black and white games over time, I ended up getting a lot of respect for those games, and because of that, that made me want to come back and want to continue playing them whenever I'm able to. The X and Y games, I really enjoyed them. They were super easy, they were super fun, and they brought us Mega Evolution. And one of them that they brought was Mega Lucario, and with him being my favorite Pokemon of all time, and getting to Mega Evolve it anytime I wanted to, really made me want to go back and want to keep playing those games. The Sun and Moon games, Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, brought me my favorite water type starter in Poplio, and my favorite Pokegirl in Lily. So because of that, it makes me want to go back and continue playing them. Then we get to Sword and Shield, which, as I have stated multiple times, is the one that I play through the most, because for me, it was the game that it gave me so much replay value. I cannot count the amount of times that I have made a new save file and go through and play it from beginning to end. Even you know, the after the credit stuff with Swordward and Shieldbert.
I hate
Still
the
hate that name.
I hate those names
Still,
so much.
yeah, I still hate those names by the way. But it gave me so much replay value because there was just so much fun that I could have and so much awesome memories that I had with those games. And we come to these games. Even with all their bugs, even with all the stuff, the glitches and everything, I cannot, on a clear conscience, say that these games come anywhere close to me as Sword and Shield did. I, in a way, did not enjoy playing these games at all whatsoever. Now, if for the Nintendo Switch Pokemon games, if I had to rank this game, I would put it behind Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl.
Really?
Yes, yes, I would. If I had to sort them out, which I actually have my Nintendo Switch games right here beside me, if I had to rank these games from most favorite to least favorite, it would be Sword and Shield, Legends Arceus, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, these games, and then Let's Go Eevee.
Huh.
That is how I would rank these games. And it's kind of hard to put it into words, but for some reason, for me, it just feels like there's just that one thing that's lacking in these games. Because I am about to finish my second playthrough of these games. And for some reason, it's coming off as almost as it's work, and not in a good way, for me to pick up my controller and finish the games. And I just don't think that that's something that a Pokemon game, with me being a big Pokemon fan, I don't think that that's a good thing. You know, I don't think it should be coming off as it's work and that it's something that you're almost dreading in a way to pick up your controller and to finish playing the games. Now for Legends Arceus and for Sword and Shield, it never did that for me. It never came off as it was feeling like it was something that was work. Bad kind of work. For me to want to pick up my controller and want to finish playing through the games. Because I plan to do 3 playthroughs of this game. And as soon as I finish my 3rd playthrough of it, whenever that may be, I cannot see myself wanting to continue playing it. That's how these feel for me. Now for a game like Sword and Shield, that game I can see myself playing over and over and over again. I would rather play Pokemon Sword and Shield than this game any day of the week. That's my opinion on this game.
Now, would you say it's a bad game?
I would not actually. I don't see it as a quote-unquote bad game because there are still stuff in this game that I still enjoy.
Yeah.
I still enjoy Cryodon. I'm not Cryodon.
Miraidon.
I still enjoy Miraidon. I still enjoy Sprigatito. I still enjoy Nemona being my rival because as for right now, she's the best rival that there is for me personally. But no, not at all. I would not say that they were bad games. It's just I would label it as a game that I would not put in my top 5. It's not a top 5 game for me. That's what I would classify it as, but not a bad game.
That's fair.
Because it's not. If it was a bad game, and after I finished my first playthrough, which I have, If it was a bad game for me, then then I would be done with it. I would not want to do a second playthrough of the game, and I would not want to do a third playthrough of it. Now, um, what I would consider a bad game would be Majora's Mask compared to compared to Ocarina of Time. That is what I would consider a bad game. But no, I would not classify this as a bad game.
You sir, are gonna get attacked hard for that comment.
Oh my. But yeah, that's my opinion on the game as a whole. So, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, you made some good points. I would say, minus the bugs, the pros outweigh the cons, but it's very close. I do hate that they started off with giving you so much to do and not telling you where to go.
Okay.
But I understand why they did that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's an open world. So they just want you to explore. But that kind of made it fun in a way. But then again, I was like, I don't know where to go. But to be fair, I spent so much time just roaming and catching Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And now, okay, my one of my cons is the shiny Pokemon. They don't sparkle, and they don't make a noise. So how can you tell if it's a shiny?
Yeah, exactly. And whenever they did the patch update that we recently just had, the 1.1.0 patch, I was kind of hoping that they would have at least, patched that into the game. But I haven't heard anybody talking about it. I haven't seen anything about it on Twitter.
Yeah.
So apparently that was not one of the things that they did fix. And speaking of the patch, um, it was supposed to help alleviate some of the bad things that the game was doing with the whole frames and what have you. Um, I have literally not seen anything good that has come out of the patch so far. I mean, yeah, there have been some people that they say that they've spotted some changes and stuff like that. But for me personally, I have not seen anything good at all. Um, Starting up a new save file, and whenever you enter the classroom for the very first time at the very start of the game, whenever you're there in the classroom and everybody's sitting at their desk and stuff, the frames for that part in particular is still very, very crap.
Yeah.
I mean, they still look like they're swinging their legs at like 3 frames per second, okay? And something else that I've noticed was because I was doing a couple of raids yesterday in some of the Terror Dens, and I got stuck not just once, but twice inside of a Terror Den. I literally had to shut off my game and then restart it because I was just stuck there. There was nothing I could do.
When it comes to
So,
these games, I get that they had to get them out as fast as possible,
mhm.
but they could have spent so much more time on it.
Yeah, exactly. Now they said that they were going to be releasing more future patch updates, and that's good because there's still a decent amount of problems that are still wrong with this game.
Yeah.
And one of the patches that I hope that they do
Doo doo.
is, is that they at least make it to where overall shinies do
Sparkle,
make
make a
noise.
noise. Yeah.
Yeah, and that the next one, also, they finally fixed the frames like completely. Because that's one of the things that I did enjoy. I do like it's a reason why I prefer Legends Arceus over these games. Is because whenever you see an overworld shiny in Legends Arceus, it does make a noise.
Yeah.
And that's, like I said, that's just not the case for this game. And I do not think it's fair, for me personally, that I had to go through the game and constantly be looking over my shoulder and constantly wondering, well, did I just ride by a shiny and just not know? Because I'm focused on doing this and not worried about,
Yeah.
constantly scanning the field out of and looking at every one of these single Pokemon. But I'm supposed to be going this way,
Like, what if you weren't paying attention?
Yeah, and you just
And
rolled right past it.
yeah,
y-
exactly.
You wouldn't have known,
If they could do it in
because
Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu, I don't know why they couldn't have done it in this game. I mean,
yeah,
they did in
exactly.
Arceus too, which I prefer this game over Arceus.
And um, I can almost guarantee that I have rode past at least a small handful of Pokemon, and I can guarantee that they were shiny, but I just wouldn't have known,
Yeah.
you know, because yeah, that's just,
I only knew that I found a shiny Mareep because it was pink
yeah.
when I drove past it, or ran past it.
Yeah, and one of the recent shinies that I did get was a shiny, well, the new pig Pokemon that everybody was losing their mind over for some stupid reason.
Lechonk. I
Um,
hate its evolution. Speaking of evolution, it's right here on my screen right now as I'm playing this.
mhm.
I don't like it. I don't like it. Its
The
evolution
only
is
reason,
pink though, so
yeah, the only reason I knew that it was shiny was because it stood out um, from what I've seen. And had I not known that its original color was not supposed to be pink,
yeah.
then I wouldn't have known that that was a shiny. So,
I got
okay,
lucky when I found my Glalie
hmm,
because its eyes were red.
yeah,
That's the only way I could tell.
yeah. Okay, so that was my opinion on the game as a whole. But the very last thing I want to talk about, and the very last thing I want to discuss, is the actual story of these games of Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl.
The
Okay,
story was
so
good. I thought it
yeah,
was good.
but the one of the things about the story that I want to talk about is the very end of the game, because that was the part that really threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
But before I do that, I want to take a few steps back real quick. Okay, so one of the things that you're allowed to do in the game, because there's three paths you can choose from. There is the gym path where you go through and you're collecting the gym badges. There's the Legends path where you have to help Arvin get the Herba Mystica
Yeah.
and defeat the Titan Pokemon.
What you
And
don't
then
get to keep the Aero Mystica, by the way,
yeah,
that I know of.
yeah. And um, then there's the third one where you have to take care of Team Star by raiding their bases and defeating the big bosses of those areas, defeating them and their car Pokemon that they're running around on.
Which
Okay,
one
so
do you want to
while you
start with first out of those paths?
which what wait what?
Which one do you want to start with first out of those paths?
I'm gonna be talking about the Team Star one
Okay.
because, and the reason I'm doing that is because story-wise, whenever you're doing that, your phone got hacked by someone, and at that time we didn't know who it was, but we knew that they went by the moniker of Cassiopeia.
Hmm.
Okay. And the thing that I thought was funny about that, which I kind of knew who it was, you know, like almost right off the bat,
I
because
know exactly who it was.
yeah, because it was so obvious. Well,
Yeah.
for me personally, it was so obvious because they kind of because whenever you finish, if you go and you fight Giacomo, the dark type um, of the Team Star bosses, whenever you defeat him, your Rotom phone, um, Penny shows up, and she gives you like these lead points for
Yeah.
whenever you defeat them. So they make it out to be this big sort of mystery, okay?
It's
But
really
whenever
not.
you defeat all 5 or 6 of them or whatever, at the very end of the game, um, whenever you defeat like the chairman or whatever of the academy, um, he makes you think that it's him who is Cassiopeia.
I knew it
But whenever
wasn't.
you, but whenever you defeat him, he says, "No, you know, I was not.
Just kidding.
I was I was battling you to make sure that you were strong enough and that you were up to par to face the real boss of Team Star." Alright, and then you go to behind the academy to like the exercise area or whatever at night, and that's whenever you're supposed to actually see them one-on-one. And then yeah, Cassiope was actually Penny instead.
Yeah. Okay, at
And
first, when it came to Penny, I thought she would have been an Elite Four member.
early.
But halfway through, I'm like, no. She's working with Team Star. Who is your favorite Team Star member? Minus
My
Penny.
favorite. So my favorite, minus Penny, off the top of my head, would have to be Giacomo, the dark type, Team Star
Yeah.
person.
Mine was Atticus.
Really.
Yeah. I liked his outfit. I'm like, I want to cosplay as him, man.
Yeah. The thing I like about the dark type one so much is because he kind of looks like a mix between Guzma from Team Skull, like a mix between him and Yusei Fudu.
Yeah,
Kind of like a mix between those.
that's fair.
And his outfit, I really enjoy his outfit. I really enjoyed his dark type Team Star mobile. Out of all of them that we got shown, I thought it looked the most awesome. So, I wanted to talk about the end of the game. So, like I said, it threw me for a loop. I was not expecting this. But Arvin, one of your friends that you travel with, it looked like throughout the game, near the end of the game, that he did not have a very good relationship with his mother, which I think a lot of people could relate to, you know, because not all parent and child relationships are how they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
But the number one thing that I was not expecting out of everything that I did know about the games was that Professor Sada and Professor Turo were AI, artificial
That
intelligence.
that threw me for a loop. I'm like, wait,
And
what?
then, and combined with that was the fact that Arvin's mother in Scarlet or father in Violet was dead.
And they actually said the word died.
Yeah, they actually just
I'm like, wait,
screamed right
I'm
out.
sorry? What?
Yeah, I was not expecting that. But the cutscenes throughout this whole thing, near the very end of the game, mwah, chef's kiss.
Yeah, the
I really
cutscenes were
enjoyed
good.
it. Yeah, that's the one thing that I can say about these games that I enjoyed the most was they had excellent cutscenes.
I can also
So, yeah.
say the story actually almost made me cry towards the end
Mhm. Yep.
because of Arvin and his Pokemon.
Yeah. Mabostiff.
Yeah, and then that almost got me. I'm like,
Yeah.
as I'm playing, I'm like, come on, dog, come on, come on, push,
Yeah, because
push.
yeah, because whenever you're doing the whole Titan thing, going out and battling the Titan Pokemon, we find out that the Urban Mystica that the Titans eat, that not only power them up, but also he uses the Urban Mystica in his sandwiches,
Yeah.
which your character gives your whole sandwich to either Koraidon or Miraidon.
Which
And
made
then
me mad.
Arvin,
Like, what if I'm hungry too, man?
right? And then Arvin, he breaks off a piece of his to give it to Mabostif. And then we find out that his dog eating that stuff is slowly healing him and making him better. And I'm not ashamed to say that the very last one, whenever you go and you fight the false dragon titan, um, and he gives his dog the sandwich. It doesn't look like it helped at all, and so he turns around and he takes a few steps in the opposite direction to kind of like help him with his composure.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, Wabostif stands up and hands Arvin his Pokeball because he was better. He was basically healed, and I'm not ashamed to say I got a bit choked up.
Yeah.
I did, because with me being a dog.
Damn you,
person,
Pokemon!
Because with me being a dog person, you know, I mean, I can understand, you know. But continuing on with the very ending of the game, after you go into Area 0, and you have to make your way all the way down to the very bottom, because you're going there because you have to go and you need to talk to Professor Sada or Professor Turo, and you're battling all these Paradox Pokemon along the way. You have to have a one-on-one match with one of the two professors, and it was at this time whenever you realized that they were an AI. Your match with Sada or Turo, but it was very difficult for me.
It was very difficult.
Because I didn't.
I lost like 5 times,
Oh really?
and I had to think of a strategy to actually beat them, and I'm like, alright, Pokemon, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, because I didn't know that they were going to be using the Paradox Pokemon in their battle.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you beat all 6 of either Sada or Turo's Pokemon, but then another cutscene happens, and then they throw out either their Koraidon or Miraidon.
And they were all in Master Balls.
And that gave me major Volo vibes from Legends Arceus.
Yeah.
Because in that game, whenever you defeat all 6 of his, you have to fight that legendary Pokemon, not just once, but twice. And in this game, after you defeat Sada or Turo, they throw out their legendary also. And so that kind of like, you know, made me think, and I really enjoyed it. So,
I didn't like the Titans at all. I'll say that right now. I didn't like the Titans.
So you didn't have one that you liked a little bit more out of all the others?
No, not really. To be completely honest, I thought they were a waste of time.
Now,
I did them anyway, because you kind of had to.
Yeah. The one that always stuck out in my mind was Bombardier, the one that was constantly dropping the boulders down below. Okay, so that one stuck out to me for 2 reasons, okay? One, because it reminded me of the stork at the very beginning of the game whenever you play Yoshi's Island.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was that stork that dropped Baby Mario, and it was because of that that the Yoshi clan ended up finding it.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of Yoshi's Island, so that was one of the reasons why. The other reason that it really stuck out to me in the back of my brain space was because with the whole rolling boulders and stuff like that. It reminded me so much of climbing up Death Mountain in The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
That's fair.
And I just enjoyed that. And with Ocarina of Time being my favorite game of all time, out of every console, by the way, I just really enjoyed it. Now, whenever you go and you fight the False Dragon Titan, that's like it's a multiple stage one
It's like a
because not only
three-stage fight.
because because not only are you facing Dodonzo or whatever the big catfish Pokemon's
I like the
name is,
Donzo. I like the Donzo.
because not only are you fighting that Pokemon, but you also have to, whenever you defeat it, you have to go and you have to fight that little tiny sushi
Tatsugiri.
Pokemon. Yeah,
Tatsugiri.
I
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. I was not expecting that at all. That was for the the Titan portion of it. So for the gym leaders, okay. So I wanted to talk about this before I wrapped up the video. So for the gym leaders, out of all of them that I fought, Iono would have to be my favorite out of all the gym leaders. Now, if I had to choose a close second, it would be Larry.
Larry's probably my
Maybe
favorite.
It would be Larry, hands down. Just your normal, typical, like almost office worker
Yeah.
kind of gym leader. And I was not expecting him because whenever you fight him during the part where you're collecting the gym badges, whenever you fight him during that part, he is a normal type gym leader who terrestrializes his Staraptor.
Yeah.
I was not expecting him to also be an Elite Four member. Was not expecting that.
I wasn't either.
Because whenever he's an Elite Four member, he uses flying types. And I just think that's awesome, you know, because I don't think out of the past Pokemon games that we've ever had someone who was a gym leader but also an Elite Four member. I can't remember off the top of my head anyway.
I don't think there's been any that I can remember.
And because of that, I really enjoyed that. And this transitions into the whole Elite Four members. I love Rika and Hassel. I love those two. I love those two so much. Out of all of the Elite Four members of this game in particular, those two are my favorite.
Are those the green-haired person and the child?
The green hair one, that was a Rika.
Yeah.
The little tiny one. Her name is Poppy.
Poppy, that's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I have Elite Four members that I enjoy out of the past Pokemon games, but yeah, Hassel and Rika. And the reason why I enjoyed Hassel so much was because he is the Dragon type Elite Four member. He's the one that you fight before you go and you face Gita,
Yeah.
the chairwoman of the Pokemon Company. He comes off as this big, broody kind of
Tough guy.
Yeah, but then after you win, after you defeat
He
him,
gets all emotional.
yeah,
Like, oh god, no.
that part right there is what made me enjoy him so much, because I just bursted out laughing. I did, because he was just so goofy and stuff like that, and I really did enjoy it. So transitioning from there to actually fighting Gita, the chairwoman, she was a bit of a letdown for me. She really was. Because not only did she remind me of fighting Diantha, who was the champion of the X and Y games, not only did she remind me of that in terms of difficulty, but also I believe that she could have been so much better. She could have been, with the team that she had, she could have been so much better.
Yeah.
Because her ace Pokemon was that like poison rock flower ugly Pokemon. Um, that was her ace Pokemon. But if she would have started out with that instead of Espatra, the Psychic type that looks like some kind of ostrich Lady Gaga Pokemon, had she not started out with that Pokemon and then started out with her ace, which I think is called Glimmora, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, Gamora.
As she started out with that, the battle would have been so much better because if it is called Glimmora, if she would have started out with that Pokemon instead, it has an ability to where once you hit it, and if it still lives, or even if it doesn't live, it sets out toxic spikes.
Yeah.
So, had she had done that, yeah, it is called Glimmora. Had she started out with that, then the battle would have been more difficult for us who was battling against her. And so, because of that, because of the fact that she didn't, they didn't have her plan out her team, it came off as a big letdown for me. Had she started out with Glimmora, and had she had the new evolution for Bisharp as her ace, then it would have been so much better because the new Bisharp Pokemon has like
Oh, yeah, King's Gambit?
yeah, King Gambit, yeah.
King Gambit?
He has an ability called Supreme Overlord, where if your 5 Pokemon, or even like 2 or 3, get knocked out, and then you send him in, his ability, because of those fallen comrades of his, boost up, I think it's either his attack, special attack, or both. It gets boosted up because of his fallen comrades.
Yeah.
So had that been Ida's ace, she would have lost 5 Pokemon, and then King Gambit would have been the last one. And because of that, that Pokemon probably would have swept my whole team. Because it would have been powered up so much because of his 5 fallen comrades. That would have made Gita so much more, it would have made her so much more intimidating, so much more of a stronger champion, but they didn't. And because of that, she falls into the same category as Diantha from X and Y, who is hands down known to be the easiest champion out of all of the Pokemon games, with Cynthia being the strongest, her and Leon. But yeah, so that's my thoughts and opinions on the game so far. So is there anything you would like to add? Any closing statements or remarks?
Let's see. The game as a whole, it was a 7 out of 10, maybe an 8, like a low 8. Let's see. I had fun playing it.
Okay.
Like, I get that, I get there was so much wrong with it at the start, during launch.
Mm-hmm.
I only had a couple things go wrong. The game never crashed on me, though. I didn't have, like, crazy glitches. I just had fun playing it.
Okay.
Minus the, Titans.
Yeah. Okay, well, that was pretty much everything that I wanted to say. Thanks for watching. I know that I kind of trailed off on a couple of areas, but with me not using a script, I had to do a lot of this stuff on the fly. But yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All of our links are going to be down in the description bar below.
Yep.
And so yeah, thanks for tuning in. I've been Preston, he's been Corey, and if there's nothing else to say, I guess we're signing out, and we hope to see each and every one of you in the next one. Until next time, peace.
Stay nerdy, my friends.